Good evening, this is Tacks from Zakka Jacob. It's official now. The fight for the next Congress president is going to be between Mallikarjun Kharge and Shashi Tharoor. Now, one is seen as the establishment candidate, or the one who has the quote-unquote family's blessings. The other is seen as a bit of a rebel candidate, or the so-called G23 candidate. The fundamental question is this, that with Mr. Kharge, the front-runner, and the establishment candidate, can this election be seen as free and fair because he is seen as someone who has been endorsed by the family, even though they may not have explicitly said so? But every congressman and congresswoman out of those 9,000 plus delegates know who has the blessings of the family. Is this going to be a generational shift? An 80-year-old Mallikarjun Kharge as Congress president, is he the one who is going to take on this election-winning juggernaut of Modi-Shah combined called the BJP? Ultimately, if the aim of this election was a clean break from the Gandhi family, a clean break from the so-called hold of the Gandhi family, then does Mr. Kharge's candidature make that case, or does it only accentuate suspicions that folks have always had? But first, the story so far.
It's the most expected twist in the race for Congress's next president. There won't be a Gandhi in the top post for the first time in more than 20 years, but the Parivar has made sure their man is in the running. Mallikarjun Kharge, leader of opposition in the Rajya Sabha and a through and through Gandhi loyalist, filed his nomination today.
मुझे जो सहकार मिला उनको, उसलिए उनका फिर एक बार मैं आभारी हूं। कांग्रेस पार्टी के जो उसूल हैं, जो आइडियोलॉजी है, उस आइडियोलॉजी के साथ मैं बचपन से जुड़ा हूं।
From the looks of it, Congress ka haath is with Kharge. Apart from getting the Gandhi's blessings, Kharge walked into the AICC with signatures of 30 proposers who were some of the most prominent names in the party, including Rajasthan Chief Minister Ashok Gehlot, who was the first choice of the Gandhis for the top post up until his rebellion last week. Another proposer was Digvijay Singh, who up until the morning of the nomination had declared that he too was in the race.
उनसे मैंने पूछा था कि आप अगर फॉर्म भर रहे हो तो मैं नहीं भरूंगा। उनका इरादा है फॉर्म भरने का, तो मैंने कहा कि ठीक है, मैं आपका प्रस्तावक बनूंगा।
Kharge will be going up against Shashi Tharoor, a three-time member of parliament and a former union minister. Unlike Kharge, Tharoor wasn't flanked by the who's who of Congress when he filed his nomination papers.
I was not prepared for the extraordinarily enthusiastic collection of Congress workers. I have a vision for the Congress, for the internal reorganization of the Congress, which I will be sending to every one of the 9,100 and odd delegates.
A Gandhi loyalist versus a member of the G23. Are the odds stacked against Shashi Tharoor?
Kharge ji will be elected. In fact, my appeal is that he should be elected unanimously.
Okay, you want Mr. Tharoor to be withdrawing from the contest?
I think it would be in the fitness of things.
Is this a democratic election to lead a party that is going through its worst ever crisis, or just a friendly fight? And at the end of the day, will the next Congress chief simply be a proxy of the Gandhi family?
All right, let's open this up to our panelists. Full panel joining us on the talking point this evening. Sanju Verma is national spokesperson of the BJP. Supriya Srinath, spokesperson of the Congress Party. Sanjeev Srivastava, senior journalist. Rashid Kidwai, author and journalist who's been tracking the Congress for a number of years. Adbata Kala, author and political analyst, also joining us. Supriya, let me start with you first. Till this morning, when Mr. Kharge's name got thrown in the ring, it was seen and believed to be an election where the Congress first family, as it were, did not have a skin in the game. But now that Mr. Kharge is the quote-unquote official candidate or the establishment candidate, the person who has the quote-unquote family's blessings, doesn't it defeat the whole purpose of having this election? That is, that there will be a clean break from any kind of influence by the Gandhi family as to who the next Congress president will be.
I think the opposition and perhaps some sections of the media need to make up their mind. What all are you going to attack? You started off with, oh my God, it can never go out of the Gandhi family. Rahul Gandhi is going to be the president. Now it is going to be a non-Gandhi president being done through an electoral process. 9,000 elected delegates will vote. You have a problem with that. I am very fond of Shashi Tharoor. I'm equally fond of Mr. Kharge, and I'm also very fond of KN Tripathi, the third candidate in the fray that nobody is talking about. He's been a minister in the Jharkhand government, and here he is. He's also filed a nomination. The trouble is that when we start chasing a narrative, we forget the reality. These are the pictures. Here's Mr. Kharge filing his nomination. Here's Dr. Tharoor filing his nomination. And here, of course, is Mr. Tripathi filing his nomination. In the last 72 to 96 odd hours, presidents have been appointed for 3 parties in this country, including the Bharatiya Janata Party, the RJD and the Samajwadi Party. We've seen one-line flash on news channels and on wire agencies, and that's how presidents are being nominated, or perhaps being given more terms. So the people who have nothing to do with the electoral process in their party are the last ones who should be asking us questions.
Okay.
The people who kept talking about some imaginary G23, I also want to point out here, I've got 3 nomination set of papers for Mr. Kharge, and I want to point out Manish Tiwari, Anand Sharma ji, Mukul Vasnik ji, Prithviraj Chavan ji. I mean, all these people have signed these papers, including Digvijay Singh ji and Gehlot ji. So my trouble with this commentary, Zakka, really is, make up your mind.
No, one second. I was very clear. I was very clear in my mind, and I think Sanjeev was on the show last night, Rashid was on the show, I think Advaita also, I spoke to her yesterday evening. I was very clear in my mind till last evening that if it's going to be a Digvijay Singh versus Shashi Tharoor fight, then yes, the first family has quote-unquote walked the talk that they don't have a skin in this game, they don't have a preferred candidate. But things changed dramatically this morning when Mr. Kharge's name got floated and Mr. Digvijay Singh then goes to his residence and says, I'm withdrawing my candidature. I mean, are you seriously suggesting, Supriya Srinath, that the 9,000 delegates who will vote the next president of your party do not know who is the official candidate and who is the so-called rebel?
I don't know who your sources are. I don't know who your reporters are talking to. But I am one of the elected delegates, unlike people who want to come and smirk and smile and laugh here, because they don't even elect their president, they nominate. So they should hold their horses. 9-time MLA, 2-time Lok Sabha MP, the leader of the opposition in the Rajya Sabha and the Lok Sabha, has been Central Minister for Railways and for Labour, has been a trade unionist, started his politics in 1969. None of the Gandhis have signed his candidature. There were some people in the party who were talking to him. Digvijay Singh is a seasoned politician, a 2-time elected chief minister. He's a very mature politician. He wanted this to be a friendly contest, but when Mr. Kharge came in, he's a senior member of the party. He decided to withdraw his candidature. He was neither asked to contest,
he never said any of that last night.
I think it's in the fate of things.
Anyway, I'll ask Sanju Verma the question that the question that nobody is running down anybody. No. Please don't get me wrong. Please don't get me wrong. Let me just take 10 seconds to say what I'm saying. Please don't get me wrong. Nobody is running him down. Like you said, he's been LOP in the Lok Sabha, he's been LOP in the Rajya Sabha. Great candidate. I don't have a problem, but I don't think he's going to fix any of your issues. But let me ask Sanju Verma one second. Let me ask Sanju Verma the question you asked. It's a valid question. In the last few days, we've heard reports of Mr. Nadda, your president, Sanju Verma ji, getting a second term. The question that Supriya and other Congress folks are asking is, where is the election? Mr. Nadda was not elected the first time. He's not elected the second time. You have a selection. So why are you picking holes in an election that the Congress party is having?
Question as well.
Sanju Verma, Sanju Verma, I've asked her the question. Let her respond,
Can you ask Supriya Srinath to stop shouting and screaming, because I did not heckle her and I need my time, Zakka, without interruptions, because there was a 10-minute long speech by the Congress panelist and she made no sense. First things first, let me be very clear. Who the Congress chooses as its next president, really is an internal matter of the Congress. But anyone with an iota of common sense, anyone with a basic understanding of Indian polity knows that whether it is Shashi Tharoor or whether it is Mallikarjun Kharge or whether it is KN Tripathi for that matter, the fact of the matter is that the reins of the Congress party are finally controlled by a private limited company called the Indian National Congress. This private limited company has 4 people: Sonia Gandhi, Rahul Gandhi, Priyanka Vadra and Damadji Robert Vadra. They make all the bona fide or mala fide decisions as it were. So let's not fool ourselves into believing that the Congress finally believes in electoral or internal democracy. And I will just corroborate what I'm saying with 2 important facts. Do you remember the fact that between 1996 and 1998, Sitaram Kesri, between 1996 and 1998, Sitaram Kesri was the Congress president. He was eventually unceremoniously removed. And there have been 12 Congress presidents in the last 100 odd years, out of which none of them ever made it to their full term. Imagine, in its 137-year-old history, the Congress barely had 12, non-Gandhis as Congress presidents who never completed a full term.
Okay.
And you had sycophants like Devkant Barua, who in the mid-70s said, India is Indira and Indira is India.
All right.
And I just want to say that, no, please, Zakka, let me finish. The same philosophy of Devkant Barua holds good even today. The Congress likes to believe India is Sonia and Sonia is India. Unfortunately, the Congress is the proverbial ostrich with its head in the sand, refusing to stare at reality. That is precisely the reason they are
the reality
vanquished.
is that this country has changed since 2014. It's a
Zakka,
different.
you
It's a
gave
one second.
Long intervention to the Congress. Let me finish.
One second.
I beg 30 seconds.
One second, ma'am. 1 second. We have 30 minutes on the debate. I've got 3 other guests to go to as well. Please allow me. See, Sanjuji, I have great respect for you, but please allow me to do my show the way I want to do my show. I've given you time. Let me go to my third guest. 3 guests have been very patiently waiting. Let us not please make it about 30 seconds that I've taken off your time. If I have, then I'm sorry. I seek your forgiveness. I'm going to Rashid Kidwai. Please have Rashid Kidwai on the screen. And Rashid Kidwai, you were on the show with me last night. And we were all saying that if it's going to be a Digvijay versus Shashi Tharoor fight, absolutely, bring it on. Because I don't think the Gandhi family, by any stretch of the imagination, would have been perceived to be close to either of these 2 candidates. Please tell us and help our viewers understand what happened between last night and this morning that suddenly the whole game changed. Here you have a familiar candidate, a family-backed candidate, throwing his hat in the ring on the very last day, on the last day of filing nominations, and one of the 2 candidates who had already filed or was planning to file, withdrawing his nomination. I mean, something should have happened in the last 6, 7, 10 hours until this morning for that dramatic change to happen.
Absolutely, Zakka. If Mr. Mallikarjun Kharge had such excellent credentials to be the Congress president, why he was not brought in the first place?
Exactly.
I mean, even ahead of Ashok Gehlot.
Exactly.
Now, second,
you hit the nail on the head.
See, Zakka, what happened in last 24 hours or longer is the story of palace intrigue. Remember, the Congress may be losing elections and etc., but they know the art of politicking. There were many kind of caste considerations, lobbies, etc., that worked against Mr. Digvijay Singh, and his name was removed. And I'm tempted to use that word, palace intrigue actually that took place. And that's how we are in this situation. But all is not lost. In the sense, there's a litmus test for Gandhis. Gandhis, if they're true to what Rahul Gandhi has been saying, they can always allow in the sense they can make a public pronouncement to say let there be a conscience vote. Let, every PCC delegate use his or her wisdom to select between the 2.
Rashid, that would have been absolutely par for course, and everybody would have believed that had it been the situation as of last night. But now with Mr. Kharge's nomination and the manner of his nomination, are you seriously telling me, and I asked this to Supriya, and I'm asking this to all congressmen and women, and I'm asking you as well, Rashid, after having watched the party for the last 40 years, are you seriously suggesting that the 9,000 delegates don't know who is the candidate, who is the chosen one, who has the blessings?
No, that is very true. But that is what I'm saying. You see, Rahul Gandhi has a task to prove Mr. Zakka Jacob wrong. If he comes on record,
I'm a very, very small, person. I don't think he needs to prove me right or wrong. But please go on.
You reflect a popular opinion. I'm saying that he has a duty and he has a chance to prove this wrong. See, unless the Congress changes itself, and we can go on saying whether the Congress delegates should change or the leaders. But if Gandhi's, because this comparison with 1997 or 1999, presidential election is very different. There, Sitaram Kesari was Congress president, and so was Sonia Gandhi. Here, Gandhi seemingly, and they are not stakeholders. They are not. It's at best Mr. Kharge can be described as a proxy candidate. So if they allow,
but you are validating my point. If he's a proxy candidate, then how can you say that the Gandhis don't have a skin in the game? That's exactly what I'm saying. And let me be very, very clear. The reason why Digvijay Singh stepped down, and I always believed that Digvijay Singh was a bit of a smokescreen candidate, if you will. He was just testing the waters to see if any more quote unquote further loyalists would, throw their hat in the ring. And when he got the sense that Mr. Kharge is going to, he withdrew his nomination. Advaita Kala, the other big aspect is, forget about, taking on Modi Shah, that is a different ballgame altogether. Maybe an 80-year-old Mr. Kharge can. I don't know. Maybe he can. I wish him well. Like I said in the previous show as well, in the interest of Indian democracy, we need a strong opposition. And whether we like it or not, the Congress is the only national alternative. But the other big missed opportunity here is, this whole process was supposed to be about a generational change, right? The old guard versus the new guard. You look at even the two candidates. They literally represent old guard versus new guard. Yes, Mr. Tharoor may not be close to Rahul Gandhi, but he certainly, no one calls him the old guard in the Congress party. Whereas Mr. Kharge epitomizes the old guard in the Congress party. How can an 80-year-old gentleman possibly be at the helm of a generational transformation? Makes no sense.
On the face of it, it doesn't. I would still go with the logic that, this is Congress's internal matter and they can choose for themselves, of course, who is best suited to lead them. I think the bigger question here is that, of course, this is part of the issue is this is an internal Congress party election, etc., and that needs to take place as per what their constitution is, what their agreement is, or their pact is within their party. The other part is their conversation with the public. Now, they have been hit very hard in the last couple of years, especially about the dynastic control of the party and there being no internal democracy. And I think this was a golden opportunity to put forward to the public who are viewing this election with a lot of interest. I would say there's more interest because of all the leaks and because of all the scandals in this election than there is in actually the Bharat Jodo Yatra. So that's a whole messaging issue that they have, which is another conversation. But sticking with this itself, I think this was an opportunity to say that we can have a free and fair election. What's happened now is that you have somebody like Mr. Kharge, who definitely has his advantages, has his pluses and his minuses, but is very clearly seen as someone who is controlled by the Gandhis. Now, one way to get out of this conundrum would be for the Gandhis to come forward and say expressly that this is not their candidate, because that is what is the signaling that is going out to the public as well as to the delegates, as well as in commentary that is coming from the Congress, because they are just commenting all the time, which is why we also like the Congress, because no one gives you drama like the Congress. And what Rashid said about palace intrigue, I mean, no one knows it better than him. So all of this is going on simultaneously, but what's happening is that the process itself is just fueling the skepticism that already existed. Okay. And I don't think that that's serving them in any possible way. So whoever becomes president, of course, we'll find out soon enough. But will he have credibility in the eyes of the public with what's going on with Digvijay Singh coming in and saying, I met him, but he told me he wasn't going to be standing. But then I found out through the media that he was. I mean, all of these sound bites coming together just makes it all seem very convoluted. And I don't think anyone's taking it very seriously, apart from just entertainment value.
I also want to ask Sanjeev Srivastava, the other problem, this could likely be an electoral problem for the Congress party, is that both Mr. Kharge and Mr. Tharoor come from southern India, and nothing wrong with that. I mean, I come from South India, so I don't find that a problem. The only problem is the electoral math. In southern India, you have 100, maybe 120 seats at best. The remaining 300 seats are from northern India, western India, and eastern India, and neither of these two candidates have any appeal in the Hindi heartland states. I mean, let's look at this with very cold logic. In 2024, if the Congress has to become the fulcrum of the opposition, if the Congress is going to stand a chance against the BJP, it has to take on the BJP and, compete with it for seats and for vote share in states where it's a direct fight between Congress and BJP. So you have Gujarat, you have Rajasthan, Chhattisgarh, Madhya Pradesh, Uttarakhand, a whole host of states. Unfortunately, neither Mr. Kharge nor Mr. Tharoor are going to have any appeal in any of those states.
Okay, so very quickly, Zakka. First thing, I would have wanted to, but I was not on your show yesterday. I was there day before.
Sure.
So on the show I was yesterday, I'm not at all surprised by Mr. Kharge's or truly some other candidate's name coming out. Okay. Having said that, let's take one by one. Yes, a cowbelt Hindi-speaking area, northern Indian candidate would have been ideally better. And let's not forget that Mr. Kharge is an afterthought. The original candidate was supposed to be Mr. Ashok Gehlot.
Correct.
As things transpired during the last 3, 4, 5 days, it so happened that he ruled himself out of the contest yesterday. And so a candidate had to be thought about, because a Digvijay Singh Shashi Tharoor contest would have had its own implications. With all respects to both those candidates, Mr. Tharoor, great man. Mr. Digvijay Singh, I am a nobody to really compliment him on his political background, sagacity. But remember, he's been too polarizing and virtually would have played into BJP's hands. They just had to play his tapes of yesteryears. So there was a need of a candidate, and a candidate did come up. Yesterday there were 3 names doing the rounds: Meera Kumar, Mukul Vasnik, and Kharge Saab. Kharge Saab being the senior most, he has come. Now he ticks all the right boxes. He has experience, he has stature. There is an election in Karnataka, and with due respect, Zakka, to the Congress party, their best bet right now is south of India's. In the Hindi heartland and in states where they are pitched in a direct battle with the BJP, whether it's Rajasthan MP or Uttarakhand, let's not even begin to talk about UP. So they have suffered major losses, and as we speak today, things may change tomorrow onwards. They don't look like in a position to really greatly improve their performance from there. So while it's important to have a North Indian Hindi-speaking face, maybe they have done their own maths and thought about that Southern Indian face at this juncture with Karnataka elections next year, maybe a better, or it's just lack of choices which made them decide in Mr. Kharge's name. And last point, I know that the presidential election, whoever, Congress Gandhis are damned. If they contested, it would have been damn them. They are never leaving the post. If they don't contest, it's a proxy, shadow, faceless, mukhota candidate. They can't help it. But Mr. Jairam Ramesh is very an intelligent man. But he shouldn't have said the statement he made yesterday or this morning, that this presidential election is a sideshow and the real show is Bharat Jodo Yatra. What does he mean? He is undermining his own Congress president's election. And undermining the whole process. I didn't expect somebody as intelligent and erudite as him, in whatever context. It was an open and shut statement. You can't interpret it in any other way. He said this is a sideshow.
I totally agree with you. I mean, you can't possibly justify that the election of your next party president is a sideshow, Supriya Srinath. Because if it is, then what's the point? I mean, why are you doing it? Right? And the second one, again, the point that Sanjeev made, Mr. Kharge was not your plan A candidate. The plan A candidate was Mr. Gehlot. And that, I know, I don't want to go back into the fiasco that happened in Rajasthan, but let's be blunt to our viewers. Our viewers are smart to figure this out. Mr. Kharge is your plan B candidate, not your plan A candidate.
So it's interesting, there are some things that have been said on the show, and I think I would want to answer those before I answer your direct question. there was something said about drama in the Congress. You know, drama and democracy have a lot of common alphabets. Thank God for the drama and the democracy in the Congress, because to the BJP, our ruling party, there is a one-liner that says this man is going to continue as president for the next XX number of years. Forget about election. 1.5 people sit down in a room and make that selection. Thank God for the drama and the democracy that we offer. That's point number one. Point number two, and I think you've been saying this repeatedly, and I think one of the guests said it too, seemingly he is somebody's candidate, seemingly the top brass is supporting him. Now, seemingly you are owned by a corporate, but I believe you are an independent journalist. So what I see may not be the reality. None of the Gandhis have been an approver for him, have been a proposer for him. I think it's very simply put there. I think somebody is having a fit attack here. You might want to find out what's happening. And I also think the Bharat Jodo Yatra question that you put forward, I think that's a very important point. I want to answer that question head on. I think the Bharat Jodo Yatra,
she's insanely crazy. She never speaks on the topic. She gets downright abusive.
Ma'am, I'm coming to you right after this. Let Supriya finish, please. Ma'am, Sanju, please. Let her finish. I'll come to you in a minute, exactly. Thank you. I'll come to you in a minute. Thank you. Supriya.
3,570 kilometers being walked on foot, 12 states, 2 union territories, and the kind of response we are getting from the people has rattled the BJP. So they will do all it takes to malign us, they will do all it takes to ridicule us, they will do all sorts of conspiracy theories. I think Jairam Ramesh is definitely right to an extent that the Bharat Jodo Yatra is a very important event. I don't think he's trying to downplay the presidency.
I don't know. Why
nobody in their right
BJP
mind, being a Congress member, would be able to do that.
And then you say, Sanju Verma, this is not about 30
Bharat
seconds.
Jodo Yatra
is a very important event if you don't want to give us time.
In the period of this history.
You are allowing the Congress to completely monopolize the debate, and then you will accuse me of fighting for my time. May I please?
All right, Sanju Verma. You've been heckling and heckling, but go ahead. Make your point. I'm giving you free, uninterrupted airtime. Go ahead.
BP medicine. I worry for her health. I worry for her
health.
All right, Supriya, thank you. Let her make her point now, please.
And BP medicine.
Thank you. Yes, thank you, Supriya, for being so concerned about my health.
Yes. Okay, Sanju Verma. Only Sanju Verma on screen, please. Thank you. Thank you.
Thank you. May I?
Yes, ma'am.
Yes. Zakka, first and foremost, let me make it very clear. I have not been heckling. I waited for a full 12 minutes before I got my first intervention. I had barely spoken for 2 minutes and you cut me short. So please don't be uncharitable to me, because I do enjoy your shows tremendously and I love coming and having a good debate. Point number two, and the most important point. Let's be very clear. This whole accusation about BJP selecting and not electing its presidents. Anyone who understands Indian polity, even a wee bit knows, nobody had a clue that Amit Shah would be replaced by JP Nadda, or that Rajnath Singh would find a successor in Amit Shah, or that Nitin Gadkari would find a successor in Rajnath Singh, or that LK Advani would find a successor again in Rajnath Singh. Because don't forget, Rajnath Singh and Amit Shah have had 2 terms each. So I'm saying that in politics, it's very important to have an element of surprise. And in BJP, you do not know till the last nth hour who is going to be the president, because the parliamentary board and the core committee takes all the decisions. I will quickly just end by saying 2 things. The fact that Jairam Ramesh called the entire election of the Congress president a sideshow, I think that shows, either callousness, ignorance, or simply, false bravado at undermining your own party's electoral process. Whatever be the case, it does not put either Jairam Ramesh in good light or the Congress. And I will end by quoting Rahul Gandhi. For once, Zakka, I agree with Rahul Gandhi. Rahul Gandhi said today, "Ye आंधी रुकने वाली नहीं है." Mr. Gandhi, you are right. आपने जो आंधी आपकी कांग्रेस में चल रही है, उस आंधी के चलते राजस्थान अंधकार में डूब गया है. आने वाले हफ्तों में छत्तीसगढ़ भी अंधकार में डूब जाएगा.
आपके चलते देश अंधकार में डूब गया है.
इज रूल्ड बाय गद्दारी. मैडम, शांत हो जाओ.
Okay. I'm left with no choice. I'm going to pull back from both the political spokespersons. Unfortunately, I'm left with no choice. So I'm going to pull back from both Supriya as well as Sanju Verma. Can I go to Rashid, please? And Rashid, I think one pertinent question, it may be of academic value, I don't know, but what on earth was that whole G23 experiment? Today, every one of those remaining G23 members, of course, Mr. Sibal has left and Mr. Azad has left, but every one of the remaining ones, from Mr. Hooda to Mr. Manish Tiwari to Anand Sharma, were all proposers of Mr. Kharge's name. So what was this whole G23 experiment about?
Well, the joke was that, G23 has become the G Huzuri type of thing. But I think it's, again, I would go back. I think it's got to do with some kind of caste considerations, because since the morning I'd been here, or last night, I'd been hearing this, that, a certain caste has not been loyal to the, Congress or Congress leadership, and names of Chandrasekhar and VP Singh and several other names were mentioned. And I think that's where it becomes a little, problematic for the Congress. When Narasimha Rao had left the Congress or resigned, he had chosen Sitaram Kesi as the successor. And at that time, it was said that that was Narasimha Rao's way of seeking revenge from the Congress, whatever Congress had done to him. So I just wonder, what is the purpose? Who's seeking revenge from the Congress now?
No. Look. Let's be very clear. I defer to your wisdom about the Congress Party, but I don't think Digvijay Singh's candidature got struck down by the High Command because of his caste, but perhaps because of his loyalty or his fickle nature. Maybe had this election happened in 2008 or 2010, maybe Mr. Kharge would not have been the surprise candidate. But this whole caste thing also brings me to the point that. Again, I'm not taking anything away from what Mr. Kharge has achieved in his life. Of course, he's had a stellar and a very long political career, from ministership to leader of the opposition, so on and so forth. But this experiment of having a Dalit candidate, Advaita, the Congress Party did that for electoral reasons, for whatever symbolic reasons in Punjab, in Mr. Channi. And look what happened. I mean, it's not like that could salvage the Congress's prospects in that state. Again, here, as Rashid said, the caste factor was perhaps an important one. It was a consideration in Mr. Kharge's candidature. But just for symbolic reasons, if you're going to do it, that's not going to give you electoral rewards.
But Zakka, that's if you're looking at the Congress president's position as someone who's going to be, drawing the votes. To be very honest, I mean, both candidates have had political success and had long careers in politics. Shashi Tharoor, of course, has won 3 elections, Lok Sabha elections, and that can't be taken away from either of them. But are they going to be vote getters on a national scale? I don't think so, and I don't necessarily think that that's what the Congress is looking for necessarily either. Because if that was the case, then we would see a very different election and different candidates. I think what you have here, and this is, again, that's problematic, and I keep saying this because this is a conversation that the ailing party has to have with the public as well, even though it's an internal process that they're going through. And that is to restore some confidence in who's going to be leading and really in the office of the Congress president. So you have had very illustrious people, although it was a different Congress at that point of time, pre-independence, and we know the splits and the sort of takeover of the party by the dynasty subsequently. But certainly, I mean, there have been very illustrious, great people who have occupied that office. So I think, like what has been said about Prime Minister Manmohan Singh's prime ministership, wherein he was considered to be remote controlled. I think a similar kind of narrative is also being built around the Congress president's office, which is truly unfortunate for a party that is over 100 years old. And I think the Congress has to take this very seriously.
Here was
they
a
may
genuine
to debate it in public, but within themselves, they have to introspect on where they're going.
Here was a genuine opportunity for the Congress party to actually wipe the slate clean. I'll give Sanjeev the final word. I have less than a minute to wrap up, Sanjeev. Do you think Mr. Kharge looks like he will be the winner? I mean, it's evident from the people who were there to propose him. The message has clearly gone down the rank and file that he is the quote unquote chosen one. Do you believe, from whatever we've seen of his record in the centre from 2014 onwards, his first as LOP in the Lok Sabha and then as LOP in the Rajya Sabha, Mr. Kharge is in a position to take on Modi Shah?
See, whoever becomes the president, the task of taking on Modi Shah will squarely fall on Rahul Gandhi. We cannot really act as if we are kind of not knowing what the true score is. He is the main protagonist on the Congress side, and Rahul Gandhi is taking on. So that I think the importance of Kharge Sahab, what we don't realize is that while it ticks all the boxes, right, experience, stature, background, whatever, it's also important to note that he at least will not be the reason for any fresh controversy, which a Digvijay Singh ji or a Tharoor Sahab could have been. And I, with all respects to both of them. So there will be no transformational change. Nobody is expecting transformational change. So he is the best candidate at this time. And just one more very quick point, Zakka. When I said about Mr. Jairam Ramesh, I don't agree with Sanju ji saying that he's trying to undermine the thing. And I agree with Supriya also to the point that the main show right now is Bharat Jodo. But as the chief of communications wing, he should choose his words with more care. So there's no room left for misinterpretation.
Okay, I got to wrap up, Sanjeev. I'm really out of time. But thank you very much. Despite this sometimes acrimonious nature of these debates, we'll leave it at that. Like I said, this was a great opportunity for the Congress Party to turn a page or to try and reflect a new Congress Party. Whether or not that will be achieved through the candidature of these two individuals and whoever goes on to win, we'll have to wait and see. But I also have a very special guest from the Congress Party, somebody, by the way, who was one of the proposers of Mr. Kharge's name. Abhishek Manu Singhvi is a senior Congress leader, Rajya Sabha MP, and of course, senior lawyer in the Supreme Court. First things first, we saw the kind of support that Mr. Kharge got, as many as 30 people, including yourself, as the proposers of his name. Is he the candidate, and this is the impression, and correct me if I'm wrong, the impression that's going around is he is the candidate who has the blessings of the family. He's the chosen one. He is the establishment candidate.
Zakka, let me just say first and foremost, there are basically three takeaways, and then I'll answer your question. The first and important takeaway is that we are having, after a long while, and unlike many, many other parties, an open, fair, transparent election. Mm-hmm. I don't know how many parties in India can claim to do that, political parties. Number two, and this is even more astonishing, despite overwhelming support, no Gandhi is standing for it.
Okay.
No one. Number three, there was some negativity in a few days ago, Koi Rajasthan. That is now all behind us. So we have now a regular election. And that has nothing to do with what happened in Rajasthan now anymore. Having said these three things, the media likes to say what you've just said, and I know it's meant not as your own view, but as a manner of eliciting or provoking. Tell me one thing. Is anybody inhibited from standing? If I want, is there the slightest pressure on me not to stand? Or for that matter, if you are a congressman? What is this whole word about official candidate? Is Shashi Tharoor not an official congressman? Does he not occupy a senior position in Lok Sabha?
Okay.
Then he should have been shooed away. He should have been excluded. There is no question of official candidate. Yes, you have people who are proposed by, for example, the 10 of us, my name is there. You have people proposing Shashi Tharoor. And tomorrow, for voting, let me be very clear, nobody is inhibited from voting.
Okay.
This way or that way.
So tell me,
I think this is just an over-romanticized version.
One of the things that was supposedly done through this election, and the aim of this election, was a generational change, if you will. Please tell me, the last full-time president you had was Rahul Gandhi. He's 50 years old as of today. Mr. Kharge is 80 years old. What sort of a generational transformation is this, that an 80-year-old takes over from a 50-year-old?
First and foremost, there are two candidates. We don't know who will win. So one of them is younger than the other. Okay. Second, if you are free and fair to stand, and suppose I force you to stand because you are younger, then you will have the same accusation. I mean, younger people have not stood This is their choice. And today, actually, you are questioning the democratic process by saying that, look, why is X and Y not elected? Why does Z not stand? Why does A not stand as mid-age? These are choices which are individual. How can, on the contrary, the very fact that, people have stood or not stood shows the freedom of it.
Okay.
Mr. Kharge is a senior politician. Mr. Shashi Tharoor is also not that young, but definitely younger. And I think you have two contestants. You can't force a third contest or a fourth contest.
Okay, we'll see. We'll see. As they say in love and war, may the best man win. I'll leave it at that. Dr. Singhvi, as always, a pleasure speaking with you. Thank you for joining us. I'm going to take a quick break. When we come back, right on the other side, it's a huge international story. President Vladimir Putin of Russia has officially announced the annexation of 4 regions that belong to Ukraine. And this is likely to send the war into a more decisive phase. What may that look like? We'll talk about that right on the other side of this quick.